Marcus Kane adjusted his tie as he walked through the bustling airport terminal. The CEO of Kane Industries, one of the country's largest tech companies, was used to flying in his private jet. But today, mechanical issues had grounded his aircraft, forcing him to book a last-minute first-class seat on Transatlantic Airways. Little did he know, this flight would change everything. At 35, Marcus had built his empire from nothing. His success story was legendary in business circles, but his face wasn't widely known to the public. He preferred staying behind the scenes, letting his work speak for itself. Today, that anonymity would cost him dearly. "Welcome aboard, sir," the flight attendant, Sarah Mitchell, greeted the boarding passengers. Her smile was warm and professional, until Marcus approached. Her expression shifted, eyes narrowing as she looked him up and down. "Excuse me, I think you're in the wrong section." Marcus checked his boarding pass. "Seat 2A, first class," he said politely, showing her the ticket. Sarah's voice turned cold. "I'm going to need to verify this with my manager." She disappeared toward the front of the plane, leaving Marcus standing in the aisle. Other first-class passengers stared, whispers beginning to ripple through the cabin. Moments later, Sarah returned with Tom Bradley, the flight manager. Tom's face was stern, his arms crossed. "Sir, I'm afraid there's been some mistake. This section is reserved for our premium passengers." "I am a premium passenger," Marcus replied calmly. "I paid for this seat." "Look, buddy," Tom's voice carried a dismissive edge, "maybe you should check your ticket again. Coach is back there." The tension in the cabin grew thick. Marcus felt every eye on him, but he remained composed. Years of facing boardroom challenges had taught him patience. He pulled out his phone and began recording. "I'd like to speak with the captain, please." Sarah laughed mockingly. "The captain doesn't have time for this nonsense. Security will escort you to your proper seat." "My proper seat," Marcus emphasized each word, "is 2A. First class. Which I purchased and paid for." Other passengers began pulling out their phones. An elderly white woman in Sunby shook her head in disgust at the crew's behavior. A businessman across the aisle started recording as well. Tom's face reddened. "You're causing a disturbance. Either move to coach or we'll have you removed from this aircraft." Marcus opened his briefcase, retrieving a folder of documents. His movements were deliberate, calculated. "Before you make any rash decisions, Mr. Bradley, perhaps you should know who you're speaking to." "I don't care if you're the president," Sarah snapped. "You don't belong here." The cabin fell silent as Marcus pulled out an official document. His voice remained steady, but there was steel beneath the calm. "Actually, Sarah, I think I do belong here. Considering I own this airline." Tom's arrogant expression faltered. "What are you talking about?" Marcus held up the papers. "Kane Industries acquired Transatlantic Airways 6 months ago. My name is Marcus Kane. I'm your boss." The color drained from both crew members' faces. Sarah's hand flew to her mouth. Tom stumbled backward, nearly dropping his clipboard. That's impossible," Tom stammered. Marcus pulled out his executive identification. "Call corporate if you need verification." "I'll wait." The entire first-class cabin watched in stunned silence. The elderly woman smiled with satisfaction. Several passengers applauded quietly. Sarah tried to recover. "Mr. Kane, I'm so sorry. There was a misunderstanding." "No," Marcus cut her off. "There was no misunderstanding. This was discrimination, pure and simple. And it ends now." Tom stepped forward desperately. "Sir, please, we can work this out." Marcus looked at both of them with disappointment rather than anger. "You had multiple opportunities to treat me with basic human dignity. You chose otherwise." He turned to address the other passengers. "Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for this disruption. Changes are coming to this airline immediately. Within minutes, Marcus was on the phone with his head of human resources. By the time the plane landed 3 hours later, pink slips were waiting for both Sarah and Tom. But more importantly, new training programs and zero-tolerance policies were already being drafted. As passengers disembarked, many approached Marcus to share their support. The elderly woman patted his arm. "You handled that with such grace," she said. "The world needs more people like you." Marcus smiled genuinely for the first time that day. Change happens one person at a time. Today, it happened at 30,000 feet. Standing in the jet bridge, Marcus watched the crew that had replaced Sarah and Tom. They were diverse, professional, and treating every passenger with equal respect. Hope filled his chest as he realized this was just the beginning. Justice had been served, but more importantly, the future looked brighter for every traveler who would follow.